Today, I'll examine how organizational culture and ethical climate influence the way businesses think, act, and perform. Culture reflects the shared values and beliefs that guide everyday behavior, while ethical climate shapes how people understand right and wrong in workplace decisions. Together, they affect communication, leadership, accountability, and overall performance. These concepts matter to every business professional because they help explain why organizations respond differently to challenges, opportunities, and ethical choices. Throughout this presentation, we'll develop a clearer framework for recognizing and classifying these important influences. Organizational culture is the shared system that shapes how people behave and make decisions at work. It includes values, beliefs, assumptions, and norms, essentially the way we do things here. Some parts are easy to see, such as dress codes, office layout rituals, and formal policies. But culture also has a hidden layer, the unspoken rules, shared beliefs, and underlying assumptions that influence behavior, often without being discussed openly. Both layers work together to define the everyday experience of working in an organization. Culture classification matters because culture shapes outcomes far beyond employee morale. It influences whether people understand and execute the strategy or quietly resist it. It also affects talent. Employees are more likely to stay when the organization's values match their own, and more likely to leave when they do not. Culture has a measurable performance dimension as well, with clear, strong cultures consistently associated with better financial results. Finally, culture guides behavior when rules are unclear, making it a primary influence on how employees respond to ethical dilemmas. The competing values framework, developed by Quinn and Rohrbaugh, is a widely used way to understand and classify organizational culture. It organizes culture along two dimensions, flexibility versus stability, and internal focus versus external focus. Together, these dimensions create four cultural quadrants, each representing a different set of priorities and behaviors. Each quadrant also carries its own strengths, preferred leadership approaches, and potential risks. The framework is useful because it turns an abstract idea, culture, into a practical lens for comparing how organizations operate and where tensions may arise. The four cultural archetypes describe distinct ways organizations operate and motivate people. Clan culture is family-like and collaborative, emphasizing mentorship, employee development, and loyalty. Adhocracy culture is dynamic and entrepreneurial, with a strong appetite for innovation, agility, and calculated risk. Hierarchy culture relies on structure, rules, consistency, and control to drive efficiency. Finally, market culture is competitive and results-oriented, focusing on goals, performance, and market share. These categories help us recognize an organization's dominant priorities, even though real workplaces may combine elements of several archetypes. Ethical climate describes a shared understanding employees have about what ethical behavior looks like and how ethical concerns should be addressed. The key distinction is between culture and climate. Culture explains why people act, while ethical climate guides how they decide what is right. There are three common types. An egoistic climate prioritizes self-interest or profit. A benevolent climate focuses on the well-being of others. And a principled climate relies on formal rules, codes of conduct, and established ethical principles when making decisions. Victor and Cullen's model helps us understand how people make ethical decisions within an organization. It maps ethical climate across two dimensions, the ethical criterion being used, egoism, benevolence, or principle, and a level where that reasoning is applied from the individual to the local organization to broader cosmopolitan society. Together, these dimensions produce five dominant climate types. The value of the model is practical. It gives leaders a way to recognize the climate they're creating and intentionally guide it toward more ethical behavior. Organizational culture and ethical climate are closely related, but they are not the same. Culture is the broader identity of an organization, expressed through its values, rituals, and symbols. It develops gradually and is strongly shaped by founders and leaders. Ethical climate is more specific. It guides how people make moral decisions and resolve dilemmas. Unlike culture, it can change more quickly through policies, systems, managers, and peer influence. Culture creates the soil. Ethical climate determines what grows. Both require intentional cultivation to support ethical behavior. Leaders shape culture and ethics through what they consistently do, not simply through what they announce. Culture is demonstrated. That means communicating expectations clearly, holding people accountable when standards are missed, and ensuring rewards reinforce the behaviors and values the organization claims to support. Just as important, leaders must model those values in their own decisions and interactions. When these practices work together, ethical behavior becomes more than a statement on a wall. It becomes a shared standard that strengthens the organization and makes its culture more resilient over time. Culture and ethics become visible in everyday behavior, not just in written policies. A strong ethical culture gives employees a safe way to raise concerns, shows leaders consistently modeling stated values, keeps training ongoing, and addresses misconduct fairly and quickly. Warning signs appear when performance pressure overrides judgment, whistleblowers are ignored or punished, senior leaders receive different treatment, or policies exist only on paper. Enron and Wells Fargo illustrate how high-pressure environments can allow performance goals to overwhelm principled decision-making. The key takeaways are these. Culture can be classified using frameworks like CVF, while ethical climate describes how moral decisions are made. Both are leadership responsibilities, shaped daily by actions, systems, and symbols. Classification enables intervention because we can only change what we can clearly see and name.